Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I am back with another altered book cover that I'm going to turn into a binder. And I had this MDF compass image, and I wanted to insert an actual compass into the middle of it. And the compass image is from Sawcrafter, who is no longer in business, unfortunately. And the compass was in some trash that some people had left that I wound up having to clean up, and it was broken. The cover was broken on it, but the actual compass itself works. So I thought it would be fun to put this on the front of the Atlas cover. So I'm just going to take my box cutter and kind of go into this MDF piece and just work at it kind of from the front and the back, because I don't want to break it or split it out. So I kind of take my time with it, and that way it'll kind of protect the compass on the front of the book and just give a lot of depth and interest and texture to the front of the book. Now, as you saw in the beginning, the book is just like a plain blue. I think it was from the 1950s. Off screen, I do take some Lindy's Stamp Gang and Tattered Angels Mists and just make it a little more navy blue and grunge it up a bit. But you guys have seen me do that a lot, and so in order to keep this video length down, I didn't include that footage. And now I'm just getting that to fit in there, and there is a little button over there on the left which locks the compass point down when you don't want it moving about. And so I want that still to work. And so you could actually use this book as a compass. You could take it outside and you know, it would actually work on the front of this book. So as I get this cut, I'm thinking that I'm going to emboss it because it's just the raw MDF right now. And you can't really see it on screen after I emboss it, but I do take some gold embossing powder, a nice fine embossing powder, and just give that a nice gold look, because there's both gold and silver in that actual compass, but the text on the front of the book was in gold, so I wanted to match that. So here I am, I've got it fitted, and I took a piece of scrap paper that just had some postmarks on it, and I don't know what company that was from, but I put that in the circle behind the compass image. And as you can see, the pre-printed compass on the cover and on the spine, those are in gold. So that's why I chose to emboss that MDF piece. And it is embossed here. You just can't really tell it. You'll see it better when I zoom in at the end. But I decided I wanted to add a little bit more to grunge this cover up. You can see I did add some like black and some more blue mists to give it more of a navy blue look instead of a royal blue. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put some more stamping on here. However, I had run out of my regular gold embossing powder, and all I had was this extra thick embossing powder. And I knew when I went to go do this word that it wouldn't probably be readable, but I didn't mind because I want this to be grungy and worn looking, and it didn't really need to be readable or crisp or anything like that. So it says like destination, I think, and you can probably tell that, but it just gives you kind of that extra grungy texture of things that were printed on there that have worn off over time. So I also have this little kind of like a starburst or sun rays, and I go ahead and I put that kind of coming out from under the edge of that MDF piece. And at first I'm brushing off all these stray bits of embossing powder, but later I go and I just kind of smush some embossing powder on there to give it a more grungy look. So I probably shouldn't have brushed them off. If I would have left the stray pieces on there, it would have been almost like adding gold mist or something to it. So in the future, I'll probably, if I want a grungy look, just go ahead and leave those stray bits of embossing powder on there. So again, I'm using another image that's pretty intricate. So it's not going to stay intricate with this ultra thick powder, but it does give you that kind of texture look, and it kind of mimics that printed compass image that's on there. So I'm liking that. And now I'm thinking, you know what, I should just, grunge this up a little bit more. I think about putting this little dot over that pre-printed image. I can't say pre-printed today, but I wanted to leave it as is. So I'm just going to go ahead and add another ray here. And you guys, I don't know why I'm on a binder ring or a binder making kick lately, but I've decided to just kind of go with it since that's what I'm inspired to do right now. Sure, I will go back to doing my sewn in books or junk journals or whatever, but for the moment I'm kind of into doing these binders, so I'm just kind of rolling with it. There you can see I just added some splotches of powder on there, and I'm really liking how it's turning out. And how I glued this on there was I wanted to use some Scotch Quick Dry, and I go ahead and I get all these intricate areas down, and then in order to hold it while that glue dries, I use just a bead of hot glue around the edge. Get that centered on the book. And then for the actual compass, I want to use some E6000 because it's good with gluing down metal. So I put that, and then again I use a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place while the E6000 dries. And again I move it all the way over to the right so that that little button on the left can still work. And so I'm really liking that. And then I do want to use one of these little Tim Holtz hitch posts there as like a little handle, and probably once I get this filled up, if it's kind of thick, I'll probably add some kind of chain or something from that goes around that hitch post to kind of hold it closed. But for now I'm just going to leave it as the hitch post by itself, and I just use one of the gold ones to kind of match into everything else that's on there. I added my binder rings. I didn't show that because you guys have seen that on quite a few of my videos already. But I'll show you what I used inside the binder. This is the Vintage Artistry Anywhere collection pack. Now I used pretty much everything except that paper, which I loved and wanted to save for a layout, and the front cover sheet with those squares. So I figured I could use all these little squares to maybe do a layout. And I still have quite a few of the punch outs left that I can use inside the binder to decorate it when I put my photos in there. So that one collection pack pretty much did this whole thing. I did use a few random scraps along with it. And then all the dies I used were from Elizabeth Crafts. I have a lot of her dies, and those were the page hole reinforcers. I had that one sidekick die that I showed that had the wavy pocket that I used. I used one of these tabs. I used that long skinny tag. I used a bunch of these pocket tags and toppers, tag toppers. I used this for one of my pages with that chevron on the edge. I used these double stacked tags. I used a lot of these globes, and I used that decal edge page. I used that for a page in there with those square holes on the left. I used this top loading pocket page. I think I just used the tab out of this one. I don't think I wound up using anything else. This one I used the notebook edge page. So yeah, a ton of the Elizabeth Craft dies. So now I'll just do a quick flip through. Here's a close-up of the cover. And you can see all the sprays, some gold rub and buff there on the corner. The Lindy's Stamp Gang had some kind of shine to it in that navy blue and black, and then all that thick embossing powder. And then I put a little metal compass also on the spine. So just a little charm out of my stash, just to add a little interest there. And then the back I just had some sprays on, so it's pretty simple. Yeah, I love this dark blue so much more than the royal blue that it was. And there the compass still works. And then you can lock it down if you don't want that floating around in there. I left the front cover with those globes. It's also on the back cover, and I'll show it here when I get to the end of the book. I left those alone because those front and back pages were really cool. So there's the tag with the chevrons. It's one of those little flips with a tab on top. There's the pocket tags. I just put a few different tags. That smaller tag is from the punch out sheet in the collection. I think that the larger tag I think is a scrap out of my stash. The decal edge page. These are the double stack tags. There's the globe that I used half of. There's one of those top loading pocket pages. I think that's a Heidi swap paper that I had. Yeah, I used the tags with the tag toppers on them. Kind of a notebook edge. I had another one of those globes. I used one of these little folders. There's the double stack, or the pocket tags with the topper on that tag as well. And then one of these little folders where I can put a photo and journal or something inside. Just on a scrap of paper. One of those with the little squares. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing this, and I like the Elizabeth Craft dies because all the holes are already punched for me and match up to the binder rings. And these top loading pockets I want to use for putting brochures in there that I save when we go on a trip. So I like that. This lined piece of paper was just out of my stash, and it already had this tab on it, which worked out fine, so I just put another half of that globe on there. And then I'll use a bunch of the punch outs from the collection when I go ahead and decorate, but I have a lot of, I keep things like tickets and business cards and brochures, and so I can junk it up with that kind of stuff. Here's the little pockets, and I did like that long skinny tag, which I can do a little bit of journaling and maybe put a place name on. Oh, and there's the little reinforcers. I use the little arrow ones on there. That lighter color tag is out of the punch outs. Yeah, and I just have a bunch of tags to put ephemera on, things I've saved from trips. And then I have one final page here, which was just a scrap out of my stash. And then you can see on the front and back flyleaf there, yeah, these cool globes. So I wanted to go ahead and leave that in the book. And there it says the age, I think 1950, Hammond's Complete World Atlas, and then another set of those globes. So that is my finished project, you guys. If you have any questions on any of those dies or anything that I did on here, just leave me a comment down below. And thank you again so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, that's always helpful. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.